Hey, how's it going everybody? I hope you're all good. This is Peter Gargan speaking, and for this video, I'm going over why the reveal of Kirby Air Riders for Switch 2 is a pretty big deal. Despite not being shown any actual gameplay in its reveal, there's a few things of note we can take away from it. So, let's get right into it. Firstly, the main detail being revealed that I think is the most important takeaway is that Kirby Air Riders is being directed by none other than Masahiro Sakurai, that most people know as the creator and director of the popular Super Smash Bros. Series. This alone is a huge deal, because I can't help but feel like Sakurai doesn't really get much of a chance to work on games that aren't Smash Bros., due to every new console from Nintendo having a new entry that takes up his development time and energy. Of course, I'm not saying that I'm against a new Smash Bros., but whenever Sakurai does get a chance to work on something else, he produces something truly unique that's on that same level of care and passion, with his last non-Smash project, Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS, being by far one of my favourite games of all time. But that was back in 2012. This is also Sakurai's first directorial role in a Kirby game since the original Kirby Air Ride on GameCube, after stepping down from the series in pursuit of wanting a change in projects. So the fact that he's getting this involved in the series after 2 decades of leaving it in the hands of HAL Laboratories to carry on what he started, shows that he must have some new ideas to bring to the table, which should be exciting, especially when returning to Kirby, which was originally his creation to begin with. Additionally, the fact that we're seeing a sequel to a spin-off game that has become somewhat of a cult classic indicates that Nintendo are willing to embrace their more experimental side from the GameCube era when it comes to the Switch 2's lineup. The original was a rather unconventional take on the racing genre, incorporating Kirby's copyability mechanic to create a unique spin that encourages players to be aware of their environment and seek out opportunities to inhale the right enemy at the right time. And the fan favourite City Trial mode even inspired Smash Run from the 3DS version of Smash 4, and its battle royale nature being considered to be really ahead of its time, especially considering how much more popular that type of game has become in recent years. Plus, with the all-new copy abilities, locales, and other mechanics that have been added to the Kirby series since, there's so many more possibilities for it to get expanded on in the sequel. For all we know, we could see Mouthful mode from Forgotten Land being integrated somewhere. Also, as a side note, I imagine Forgotten Land's success was also a big factor in Nintendo deciding to take more risks with Kirby, as the series was believed by some to be stagnating after a series of safe 2D entries that were still pretty good games, but arguably blended together after a while. Doesn't mean to say those games were bad. I mean, I did play Triple Deluxe and greatly enjoyed it, and Planet Robobot is considered a fan favourite by many, but there was also a huge portion of the fanbase wanting something on a more ambitious scale, which Forgotten Land evidently provided. Something else of interest I found about the timing of the reveal is that Kirby Air Riders is one of the few actual new first-party additions to the Switch 2 being featured in the Direct. Besides all the expanded editions of existing Switch 1 titles, we only really had Mario Kart World, Drag X Drive, and Donkey Kong Bonanza as actual new games, with Air Riders being another racing game besides Mario Kart. Why does this matter? Well, in the past few console generations, Nintendo have mostly put emphasis on Mario Kart as their sole fixture for the racing genre, with the likes of F-Zero and Wave Race going into dormancy in a post-GameCube era. But with Air Riders being announced at around the same time, it shows that Nintendo recognises that it fulfills a different niche to Mario Kart, even if they're both racing games. So does this mean we could finally see continuations of other racing franchises? After all, F-Zero kind of saw a comeback with F-Zero 99 a while back, and with GX being one of the few launch titles for the GameCube lineup on Switch Online, could these all be signs of a long-requested new entry? Admittedly, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but with a lot of staple franchises already being featured on Switch 1 and the Switch 2 being backwards compatible, there's potentially more room for Nintendo to take more risks with their first-party output. I mean, I feel like we're kind of already seeing this with Bonanza releasing early on instead of a new 3D Mario. Also, knowing Sakurai, I think it's safe to say that Air Riders will be rich with content and replay value, as we've seen in his other works, with Smash Bros. Offering almost limitless options for customization in how you want to play, and Kid Icarus Uprising's multiplayer mode being somewhat of a cult player base looking for something new to get their fix after online multiplayer on the 3DS was discontinued. Not to mention the single player story offering plenty of depth when it came to the various weapon types and powers, offering endless replay value by encouraging you to experiment with the different playstyles they offered. Overall, I'm really looking forward to hearing more about Kirby Air Riders. I never played the GameCube original, but the sequel's reveal has single-handedly ticked off one of my biggest desires for the Switch 2, that being a Sakurai-directed game that isn't another Smash Bros. While it's likely that we will see another entry considering its popularity, I'm really happy to see that he has been given the chance to work on something a bit different. As much as my ideal choice would have been a new Kid Icarus, I am also kind of glad that he isn't forcing himself to do that for the sake of giving in to fan demand, as otherwise the end result could suffer if he already has included the ideas he had in mind for it. Since he is working on a new air ride, however, then it could be an indicator that he genuinely has some cool ideas on how he can build on the original that he wants to share, so count me in. Anyway, that just about does it for this video. Let me know if you're looking forward to Kirby Air Riders, and be sure to keep an eye out on this channel for more Nintendo coverage. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.